The programming world is very vast, and you have to do a lot of research in order for you to be able to grasp any programming language in its entirety. You will also find out very early in your journey to becoming a great programmer that there are many programming languages out here which are necessary for you to learn, if of course you would like to be a great programmer and create the great application that you've always wanted to create. In today's article we are going to talk about the A+ programming language and all its important features. A+ is said to be a descendant of the A programming language, so if you know about the A programming language, you will have some type of idea of what A+ programming language is really all about. I don't want us to get confused here, so I should mention that A+ is also the name used for an IT certification, which many individuals who would like to become a computer technician pursue to further their careers. The knowledge of the A+ certification will definitely help you with your job if you are a computer technician. When you decide to obtain an A+ certification, you will be able to troubleshoot, maintain, customize, repair, install and help people with their computers. You are going to be an awesome person to many people when you are able to utilize your knowledge to help them solve their computer problems, so that they are able to use their computers to do their job. However, in order for you to be able to get there, you do have to have some type of valuable knowledge on your own about computers, in order for you to bring some real, sound contribution to someone's life by fixing their computer. When you obtain an A+ certification, it will help you to be a valuable person to someone fast. You will also be on your way to be an awesome person to other people for real. Anyhow, we are here to speak about the programming side of A+, and that is what we are going to do. First of all, A+, as we mentioned before, is a descendant of the A programming language. It was created by Arthur Whitney in 1988 at Morgan Stanley. The purpose of A+ was to provide its users applications that are considered to be useful in the business world, because these same applications are developed in computational-intensive business environment. In 1992, an A+ development group was formally created to upgrade and maintain this programming language. The plus in the A+ programming language name is referring to the electric graphical user interface, which means that you won't have to just use a command prompt or a terminal, because there is a GUI that you can use to accomplish the development your business applications with A+ programming language. A+ offers advantages of an interpreter in the fast-paced development arena. It also offers an admirable floating point performance, which helped this programming language become the language of choice when it came down to fixed income applications for the business industry. A+ is a programming language that is for actual programmers, and for those programmers who are dedicated to creating software and website applications. If you are the kind of programmer that code just for fun, then you should definitely get you a copy of the A+ programming language, so that you can easily start to program. You can easily obtain a copy of the A+ programming language. If you do a simple online search, you won't have to pay for it either, because it is freely available under the new general public license. If you are a beginner and are now just starting to learn A+, don't hesitate to do your research to gain more knowledge and information, so that you are able to program with this great programming language, because A+ is for those who are just beginners as well. A+ has many useful features, such as dynamic loading of user, compiled subroutines, and a modern graphical user interface with many widgets. The A+ programming language also has an automatic synchronization of widgets and variables, and finally but not least, it also has an asynchronous execution of functions associated with variable and events. A+ also offers extensions, which are used for graphical user interface and inter-process communications, as well as a module for storing and loading objects such as functions, variables and dependencies. A+ also offers an extension for built-in database systems, so that you are able to manage your databases using the A+ programming language. You can also implement a spreadsheet in A+, if you would like to accomplish things with a spreadsheet within your application development. A+ has a good graphical display capability, therefore, you would be able to visualize your data on that spreadsheet using A+ without any major problems. If you do encounter some problems visualizing your graphical data on A+, then note and understand that your knowledge about A+ is limited, and you need to do more research in order to be able to completely master the A+ programming language, and have the ability to properly use the graphical display capability of A+. The language also includes a special font to properly display special characters, and it uses a healthy subset of hieroglyphs, which you can also find in APL. A programming language. APL is one of the first programming languages, which was created with the invention of the computer. APL was created for mathematics, with an emphasis on array processing. We will talk more about the APL programming language on other article posts. For right now let's focus on A+. It would be helpful to mention though, that APL inspired the creation of A+, because A+ is an array programming language as well, which was created more than 20 years ago, with the help of APL and the A programming language. The need of real-life financial computations are met with A+, which is used to develop applications, which are used in computationally intensive business environment. A+ is only found in Unix operating system, because the interpreter-based execution environment of A+ is implemented in C, although the core A+ interpreter, which does not include a GUI or an IPC, have been ported to Microsoft Windows. A+ is truly a powerful and unique language, because it draws most of its features from APL and a programming language. The same primitives with a very similar syntax are used in A+, but the security found in A+, is much better, and a good implementation of A+, is more efficient than any APL system that is currently online. One of the advantages, which you would find in A+, is that you can find some extensions, such as a graphical user interface and inter-process communication, as well as modules for storing and loading objects, functions, variables, and dependencies, and even a built-in database system within the A+ system. This means that you can define auxiliary functions inside a module, which would not be accessible to the outside world, to develop your application with the A+ programming language. Variables can also be defined within modules, which would allow the module to track the internal state of the module. The more secure style of programming is achieved through these features, which essentially allow users to write good structured programs. If you are the type of programmer who does not have a style of programming just yet, you will find your style with A+, once you start to use this programming language. Self-discipline is a key feature in writing good code as well. You have to be able to follow directions and pay attention to details. When you don't follow directions and pay attention to details, then any bug may enter your code, and it could take you forever to find out where the bug is within your code. Finding a bug within your code could take hours or even days, in the worst case scenario, making your life a living hell. The A+ programming language is an array programming language at a high-level model, which gives programmers access to entire sets of data, so that they are able to easily manipulate their data. As a programmer, you don't have to resort to loops to manipulate individual data found on an array. A+ is an array-oriented programming language, which puts data together, unlike object-oriented programming language, which uses loops to decompose data to its constituent parts. Needless to say, through programming, you will find a great way to learn new things in computing, and learn about the technology that we use every day. However, you do need to continue to upgrade your skills, so that you are able to become who you want to be in the programming arena. Anyways, back to the fact of the matter. A+. In A+, the individual elements of an array argument can be applied independently to a primitive scalar, which is one of the primitive functions of A+. A primitive scalar can be applied to an entire array, so that it provides a syntactically efficient and implicit control structure. Ordinary arithmetic functions, certain mathematical functions, and logical tactics as well as comparison functions, are all part of the scalar primitives in A+. Let me say that again in case you missed it. Mathematical functions, logical functions, comparison functions, and ordinary arithmetic functions are some of the scalar primitives found in A+. Each individual element of an array in A+, can be affected by the scalar primitives, which is the main purpose of scalar primitive. Also, scalar primitive can not only manipulate each element of an array in A+, but it can also have full control of an entire array. Developers who are using A+ can use this feature to control an array very efficiently and write a very sophisticated programming code. I hope you know of each of the functions we just mentioned and what do they do or how they function. But, if you don't, let's talk about them a bit here at King Info Life, and you let us know what you think. Mathematical functions are similar to a machine that has an input and an output. Mathematical functions are not bound to a set of numbers only. Mathematical functions can be used for all sets of numbers, such as complex numbers, decimals, real numbers, and even other functions. Unlike mathematical functions, which can be used for any set of numbers, arithmetic functions are only found to be utilized with whole numbers only. I hope you are able to make the connection between mathematics and computers, because mathematics is one of the reasons why we are able to create our technology today. Logical functions are your conditional statements you will often see in programming. Such conditional statements is, if this then, that else do. Nothing that has to make sense, because it is using logic. If the condition doesn't make any sense, then your code will not work properly, and you may spend hours trying to fix it. So make sure that your conditions make sense before you use them within your code, to save you a headache. Comparison functions are used to compare arrays within the A+ programming language, as well as each member of the array. The comparison functions test elements of an array to analyze if they are equal to each other, or not equal to each other. Also to analyze if one array element is greater than the other array element, and to figure out if an element is between two elements of an array. Alright, now let's talk about another type of primitive function called structural functions, which is used in A+ programming language, mainly to rearrange the indices of its arguments. In this case it receives an argument for any kind of an array, which can be rearranged. However, the user may want the elements of an array to be rearranged. For example, if you would like to shuffle an array, then you would use a structural function to accomplish this task. Another type of primitive function is the specialized function, which is used by a developer to be able to sort arrays and invert matrices. In other words, the array would be changed completely, giving your new array a whole new structure, because it is a different array. In order to have very good abilities in understanding how to study any subject, you have to have a clear head. You need to let the Spirit of the Most High Power guide you through this deceptive world. He will come for you and you have to be ready to receive him in glory, but you need to let him guide you so that you are not under the trap of the snake. The snake is real, and if you fall for all of its deceptions, you will surely be gone, and won't be able to learn more about A+.